Hey, I am Beth, and I am back for another live tonight with my incredible guest. She'll be joining me in a few minutes, and we are going to conquer the topic, how to restore your marriage when your husband isn't an active participant. This is a great topic that you're not going to want to miss, and before we hop into it, I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I am Beth, and I am a marriage coach, and I help women manifest the dream life, dream marriage that they've always desired. And I get you to a place where you no longer feel triggered, you don't feel angry, you don't feel upset. You know what? You're feeling good. You're happy, calm, and can ride the waves. So in a moment, I'm going to introduce my guest, and she is incredible. Arrettres is she's here from Connecting Love and Marriages, and she is an expert at all things restoring marriages. She has a specialty. I'm just going to let her in right now. Here. Founder of, let me get this right, Connection, Love, and Marriage. And she works with women, here she is, and she empowers them so that they can confidently restore their marriages. And she's got this incredible program called Empowered Wife.
Hey
Welcome,
sis, I'm
Arrettres. How are
amazing.
you?
How are you?
Awesome. I'm so glad that you're here. We're going to have a great topic. We are going to dive into all things restoring your marriages when your husband is on board, or maybe he's just kind of a backseat driver to
Sounds
restoring your
amazing.
marriage. Does that sound good? Perfect. Well, let's talk about it. So let's paint the picture here. You know, there's a lot of wives that may be in here experiencing this. You don't feel like things are going the way you want in your marriage right now, whether it's arguments, whether there's been some infidelity, whether you're feeling resentful, not appreciated, you're not being loved the way you want to. Something doesn't feel right. And maybe you've communicated that to your partner, but you feel like you're not maybe heard. All right, what do we do now? What's the
The
next
next
step?
step is for you to actually have a conversation where you're saying exactly what it is that you need. Can you hear me, hon? Okay. Yes.
I can hear you. Can you
Well, you
hear
have
me?
to state exactly what it is that you're
Awesome.
needing. Men are not vague. They're not good at really reading between the lines all the time, especially when it comes to emotions and our desires. So we have to make sure that we're very intentional about being clear. What is it that I need from you? Like literal, I need this, or I desire that. And part of that is knowing what you want, because saying I want more attention, that's very vague, and it can be different for many people. I'm very, as long as you're sitting on the couch with me, I'm good. I don't need the cuddles, I don't need the caressing, I don't need all that. Let's just sit on the couch together and watch a movie. My husband's very affectionate, he's very touchy feely. So be very intentional. What is it that I desire? Know for yourself, so that you can confidently express that clearly to him. And give him the it's kind of like you're feeding, kind of spoon feeding him in a way. Nothing wrong with that, that's not an insult. But if you want something, you have to be very specific and detailed about what you desire so they can implement.
Yeah, that's so true. I think that's really great advice. You have to state it as specifically as you can. Like, what do you want? When do you want it? What does it look like? As much detail as you possibly can, and you may have to repeat it again. It depends on your husband and maybe how they are even brought up. Are they used to even having that type of communication where people communicate their needs? And if they're not, this might be new to him. So instead of seeing your partner as maybe against you, seeing them as who they are. That they're trying their best with what they know. I always use that line. They're trying their best with what they know, and you might have to teach them and hold their hand along the way so that your needs are met, so that you're
Exactly. And
not
you brought up an
resentful.
amazing point. They might not have been raised. Well, most husbands are not raised the same way the wife is, just period. That's normally how it is. They normally have different backgrounds, different understandings, different beliefs about things and affections. So that's an amazing point. You have to take into consideration their background. What are they accustomed to?
Yeah, absolutely. So, okay, now we've communicated our needs. Maybe they're not being met. How many times do we do this, or what's our next steps?
It
What do you
depends
think?
on what it is. Ask him if he's comfortable. Is everything okay? This is what I desire from you. And sometimes we can initiate it. It depends on it really depends on what it is, but there's nothing wrong with us initiating what it is that we desire. I like date nights every once in a while. So I'll say, honey, I made plans for us Saturday night. We're going to be going to Papa Do's. Be ready 7 o'clock. Look nice, smell good for me. Okay. He has it now. you know?
You might need to tell him exactly what he does need to do to look nice. What does look nice mean? Because he may have a different definition if we're going back to communicating our
You
needs.
must know
What
my
exactly
husband
is that?
because there's times I'll say to him, do you plan on going out looking like that with me looking like this? We're not aligned here.
Oh my goodness. I think another great piece of this too is asking, okay, yes, are you comfortable with that? And if you're still kind of getting some pushback on all this or just feeling like you're not heard, not feeling seen, really tap into what are you feeling in all this? Are you feeling like you can, you know what? Okay, I just need to tell it again. Are you kind of like laughing on the inside, being like, he still doesn't get it? Or are you like feeling angry at this point? Are you feeling disappointed at this point? Because I think that's so important because your partner's not making you feel disappointed. They're not making you angry. They're not making you sad. Something else is brewing on the
That's
inside.
so
What are your
amazing
thoughts
that
on
you've
that?
said that. Getting in tune with why am I feeling the way that I'm feeling? Because many of the times it has nothing to do with your husband. It has to do with that inner healing, inner wounds, or things from childhood that might be, you have desired this or you've longed for this. And it's kind of rubbing you in a way that's triggering memories from childhood. So we have to, like you said, get in tune with why am I feeling this way? Now, of course, we're not talking about allowing you to live a marriage where you're neglected or you're constantly overlooked. But if you have a good husband and he's doing the best that he can and you're feeling triggered, being triggered is something that has nothing to do with your husband. It has everything to do with you dealing with your healing and addressing that by yourself.
Yeah, and if you can't name what you feel, because sometimes it's a big mixing pot of like anger, resentment, not feeling appreciated, disappointment. If you can't name it, I often say just close your eyes, take a deep breath in, and as you do that, what do you feel? Do you feel heaviness, chaos, denseness, like rage? What do you feel? Like you might not be able to name it as rage, but are you feeling it on your
Yeah,
chest? Are you feeling it in your stomach? It's in your body, you know it's there, you don't have to put a label on it. I think that's really important too, to let women know you don't have to know exactly what it is. Eventually with time you may develop that ability, but just knowing that things are off and owning it, being like, this is me, what is my body trying to communicate to me in this moment? What is it saying? It's feeling like you just said, not heard, not seen, not loved, not good enough, feeling like things aren't fair. What is it communicating with me and how can I give myself
exactly.
what it
That's
needs?
amazing. We have to stop and make sure we're doing the inner work and digging deep. We have to make sure that we're allowing ourselves to be we have to be self-aware because we cannot ask someone on the outside to meet a need that we have on the inside that we can't even identify. And sometimes because we're longing for something, especially if we haven't experienced it in our own life, but we know there's something that I'm looking for, there's something that I'm needing, and I want my husband to feel this need. But if you can't identify it and properly express it, then you're hindering. Your husband's not psychic, he's not I can read your mind and figure out all the emotional things going on inside of you. So yes, allow yourself to have those moments where you're just still and feel what you're feeling. Sometimes we're so busy and we're doing all the things for all the people that we don't allow ourselves just to be still long enough to be in tune with what's going on in the inside. Your body will always tell you what's going on, but you have to be sensitive and you have to be still long enough to hear.
Yeah, you know what? You brought up a really good point. I would say, why are you so busy? Why are you doing all these things for other people that you're not taking the time to be still? Number one, maybe you weren't taught. Number two, maybe you have people pleasing tendencies. You're used to taking care of everyone else's needs. Maybe that's how you were brought up or how you feel validation in life. That's how you define yourself, your identity. So I think it's really important to even tackle first, why am I not giving myself the time? Sometimes we don't even know what to give ourselves. I hear women all the time, I can't meditate, I don't have time to work out,
Mhm.
I'm exhausted. So I think it's really important to get clear on
Yes, yes.
what's
And
going on.
as women, we're actually taught to find our validation in taking care of children, taking care of the house, taking care of our husband, taking care of family and friends. We're not taught to take care of ourselves, to rest, to relax, self care, get a massage, get a pedicure. We're not taught to take proper care of ourselves. And then when we say, okay, it's my time right now, people will look at us and say, oh my goodness, well, you're just going to forget about everyone else. We're supposed to, we are every woman. No, I'm not every woman. I'm a Arrettres and I need a nap. Okay. I'm a Arrettres and I'm going to get a massage right now. So I'll see you later. So
Oh my god, it's so good. It's so good. I was just gonna say too, for those that haven't gone down this path of like really giving yourself the self-care, it may not feel right. You might feel some guilt at first. You may feel like it's not right, that you're being selfish, and those are more triggers. You're being triggered by your own self-care right now. So we need to dig into those emotions of guilt
exactly.
and
And
selfishness.
identify where that came from. Who told you that it is wrong for you to take care of yourself? Looking at how you were raised. I know most of my not issues, but my training is from I lost my mother at an early age. So from the age of 12 on, I was taking care of my siblings, wrangling my father in and cooking, cleaning, doing all the things. That was my expectation. So stopping to take care of me and just settle myself, that was something I didn't learn to way in my marriage. So stop, identify where did this come from? Where was this root planted? And then we can dig that up. And now we can go against it and say, okay, no, every week I'm going to do this for myself. And I'm going to put it on a calendar. And I need this. And this is just as important as me cooking dinner for my children Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. This is just as important as me doing laundry every week. Self-care is mandatory because you can't pour from an empty vessel. And we do that so much.
No, no, you can. And you can give yourself some forgiveness in this. You know what? I forgive myself for being that really busy person, because I know now, and I thank myself because I know now that that's not the person I want to be, and I can see how much better of a mom, a wife, a coworker, a daughter, whatever it is, I am much better when I take that time for myself. Self. All right, you talked about digging up roots. I love digging up roots because that's the foundation of all this. You can like consciously think, okay, sure, my mom wasn't around when I was younger. I was taking care of all my siblings. That's maybe what it comes from, but sometimes it's like really deep in there, like you just said. So how do we really identify, pinpoint? I have some strategies. I'd love to hear your strategies on how to dig up those roots to figure out what it is that you need to release so that you don't have to feel this way anymore. You're
Yes,
no
it
longer
takes for you,
triggered.
you have to be very self-aware. First of all, in order to really get to those roots, you need quiet time. You need to give yourself time to just settle yourself and be still. I'm team Jesus. I pray. So my main thing is, okay, Lord, show me what I'm overlooking. Show me what I'm missing. And just be content with us sitting still. Many people, they meditate. Some say the universe, all the things, whatever works for you. But I say, okay, Lord, show me what it is that I'm missing because I'm being triggered here and I don't want to be triggered. And I know that you can show it to me. Okay, Lord, what's the roots? What is it? And then be still, be quiet, be comfortable in the silence. And because we're
Oh, that's
so used to
powerful.
doing and doing and doing, and we need to be comfortable in the silence so that you can hear what you need to identify, what you need to now, that root of the problem. And once you identify the root, it's like, okay, now I have to get rid of it. The same way you get rid of weeds. You found it in the garden, you dig it up, you get rid of it, and then you plant fresh flowers. You plant something that you want to grow. So you dig up the whatever the root, whatever, wherever it came from, and then now you have to purposely and intentionally build what you want to grow in place of that trauma that you've experienced.
Oh, it's incredible. So just to add to it, when you close your eyes, often, like you said, God, universe, you ask them that message in my practice, it often doesn't come forth as like, you need to do this today. Like it's not this long sentence telling you exactly what to do. Sometimes it's just like a little ping, a tiny little message, like you can do this, or it's just like you got this, or like it's something even more like you'll see a flash, even sometimes you'll see just a picture of like yourself as a kid. Like it's amazing how it comes to you if you're still enough. So just those that are listening and wondering what's this message look like that I'm going to get, it can look like so many different things. Whatever comes, sometimes it's just like anything. It could be a sound that you hear. The message is in there. We just don't interpret it a lot of times because we're not still enough. We have messages all the time and we're ignoring them, but that's really God, universe, trying to communicate with us to get us back on the path that we're supposed to be so we can head to our
Exactly.
best
And
self.
I love that you say it's not necessarily this long sentence. Sometimes it could be a sentence. I know when I was going through my healing and asking the Lord, I'm like, okay, God, what is it? I knew something happened and I couldn't identify what happened in my childhood, but I started to smell something. It was a scent. And then as I was like, okay, wait, that scent is different. And it allowed me to sit still long enough to identify, oh, that's what happened to me. So let's not wait for this big booming voice to come in with thunder and lightning and crashes. It's just, okay, what am I hearing, feeling, experiencing? What's coming through in my senses?
Yeah, I like that. It's so nice to know that it doesn't come through as a big message. I think a lot of times we're waiting for this big epiphany, like, woo, mind blowing. It's tiny little drips a lot of times. It's like a little hint here and these little ahas here. To talk about digging up the roots, like talk about digging up the roots. One thing that I find has to happen is when you get these little ahas, maybe it's like a client I was working with, she got bullied because she wore a brown snowsuit. And because of that, she has some self-esteem, like thinking like people don't like her as much. And it all came back to that little root was her wearing a brown snowsuit as like a 6-year-old kid. And she had no idea where this kind of like poor self-image had come from. And so when she got to that kind of root to dig it up, she just gave herself what she needed. She acted like a parent to that little version of herself and just said, you know what? You're worthy. That's those kids. They're probably jealous of something about you. They're projecting their own insecurities onto you to make you feel worse. And once she could almost have that little dialogue with her little self and just, it was amazing how it just all of a sudden she's like, I'm free of it. I just
Yes,
feel so
yes.
much better.
And identifying that broken people hurt people. They're broken. You know, we have these
Mm-hmm.
expectations, especially as children, that everyone is wonderful and the world's a safe place and everyone has kind and gentle intentions. Unfortunately, there are people who are broken and experience horrible and tragic things in childhood. And what they do is they now, like you said, project that on other people. And as adults, we have to forgive ourselves because something like you said earlier, we'll beat up on ourselves saying, well, you should have known better and you should have this and you should have that and why blah 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 blah, and then forgive that other person for bleeding on you, because wounded people, that's all they're just bleeding. They don't know any better. Yes, they were mean, they were horrible, and yes, even as an adult, you know, there were certain things that I experienced in my childhood. I was bullied. Whoa, I was bullied. I think of when I first moved to a new area in my our neighborhood. I'm from New York, and to adulthood, and even sometimes still now, certain things will trigger me, and I'll have to automatically denounce it, saying, no, I'm no longer that child. I'm safe. You know, I'm covered. I'm okay. So it's very important, like you said, having that moments where you're gentle with yourself, and that positive conversation, that affirming yourself now in your current situation to overcompensate or overcome what you experienced.
Oh, okay. Well, you know, we're totally on topic, but for those listening, they might be like, okay, why are we on self care when we're talking about restoring a marriage when your partner's not incredibly active in this participation of saving the marriage? What is the relationship here? We're talking about self care, saving a marriage. How do they go hand
It
in hand?
goes
Let's
hand
talk
in
about
hand
that.
because you cannot restore a marriage when your foundation is broken. I get so frustrated when couples, they experience infidelity, some kind of trauma in their marriage, they're ready for a divorce, and then they jump into let's go to couples counseling. And it's like, oh my gosh, but the foundation is broken. Your foundation is broken. As a woman, when you've experienced infidelity, you know, you're scarred, you're wounded, you feel betrayed, you're feeling all the feelings you can feel, your rage, anger, and you feel like you're on this roller coaster and you're trying to get a grip on things and you're trying to get clarity and you're grasping onto anything, but you can't because you're literally on the roller coaster. So you have to decide, okay, I'm going to focus on myself. I have to take time to deal with what I'm feeling, allow myself to feel, because as ambitious wives, sometimes we just, okay, I'm fixing things. Let me fix the things. I have to do all the things to fix it. Well, let's fix you first. Let's get you to a place to where you're
Mm-hmm.
clear. Because what will sometimes happen is the baggage is still there. The pain is still there. You're doing the strategies that the therapist, coach, counselor has given you, yes, for the marriage, to restore the marriage. What normally happens in these sessions are they're dealing with things that build you two together or to build the marriage together. And unfortunately, not unfortunately, but when wives have experienced infidelity, normally when they're in a counseling session, they're not as honest about what's going on the inside with them. They're not as freely speaking because, one, their husband is right there. They don't want to trigger, they don't want to yell, they don't want to embarrass him or make him look bad or say something that's going to make him run in the opposite direction. So you're not as free as you should be. That's why you have to address your inner healing first. It's okay to have the marriage counseling, coaching going on, but you have to deal with what's going on in you. You need strategies. I believe in prayer, reading the Bible, saying your affirmations, getting with God, and then you also need strategies. This is what I'm going to do to help me when I feel triggered. This is what I'm going to do to help me when I'm doubting if I made the right decision, because that's an emotional roller coaster on its own. You constantly doubting yourself. Should I have really stayed? Is this the best thing for me to do? I should have left, because most women, I could do battle by myself. I don't need him. But then you get to a point where it's like, okay, I decided to stay. Now it's time to work on me and do the best I can within this marriage. So self-care is so important,
Mm-hmm.
because you can't rebuild the house without addressing the foundation. You have to address that.
Yeah. It's the only way. You really can't do this without you healing first. If you are in a place where you're still constantly triggered in your environment, you feel completely out of control. You're never going to trust your environment. So you need to get to a place where you can heal from the trauma of the infidelity or the years of pain that you've been going through. And I want to say one thing there. We should ourselves a lot. Like, I should have done this. I should have been on top of this. Why did I not see him cheating sooner? I find infidelity is a big piece of my practice, and I know it is with you. Why didn't I? And you carry this guilt around, like, I should have, and that's what it is. You're just guilt tripping yourself. So I'm going to encourage everyone, take the word should out of your vocabulary, because you did what you knew how. You were listening to your intuition, but sometimes other people squash it because they're like, no, 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 I'm nothing fishy's going on. And I'm just saying that real simply, but you get told over and over again that certain things aren't actually happening, but your spidey senses are there being like, something doesn't feel right. Like, you have a very good intuition and it gets dampened. So part of this healing process is to learn to just trust yourself again, because you were told lies for so long that are not your fault. And it's not fair what happened to you. But here you have this awesome opportunity to now, like, and take it on a positive spin. It sucks. Everything sucks. But you know what? You're going to come out stronger than you were
Yes.
going to.
And grace. Like, why do we, and I know it's because society teaches us, or what it does whenever a husband has an affair, they look at the wife and they say, well, why didn't you do this? And were you giving him enough sex? And were you cooking dinner? And you've gained some weight here. Why don't you lose the weight? It has nothing. And I'm 100%, I shout it from the mountaintops. His infidelity has nothing to do with you. There's no guilt, no shame. Take it all off of you. It is not your responsibility to keep your husband from cheating. It's his responsibility to be committed to the vows that he made. So, it's not about why didn't I see things, or why didn't, no, it wasn't your job. You were being a good wife, taking care of your family and your husband. You were not, it's one thing if you're, insecurities, because sometimes people are just searching for things and looking for things and there's always suspicious, but no matter what, yes, trust when we know we know when something is going on, but be gentle with yourself. Don't blame yourself for what has happened. No, all fingers point in that direction. Now all healing points in your direction.
Mm-hmm. It does. And yeah, do you ever have women come out of your program that don't feel better? Like I don't have any in mind, but tell me about yours. Like when they do the work, isn't it the most
It's the
incredible thing for
most
them to experience?
powerful. Like I feel like a little kid in a candy store. Like whenever I see, and what's funny, what normally happens is I'll have these coaching sessions and they'll be saying, well, my husband did this and not my response was X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you sound like me now. Yay. It's like I'm making mini Arretresses or something out there. But it's amazing to see the breakthrough and how bold and confident they are. Not rude, not arrogant, not disrespectful, but just owning the power that's inside of them and being confident that this is the lifestyle and this is the marriage I want to experience, and we're going to be intentional about building that, and these are the steps that we're going to follow. I love it. It's amazing to watch the transformation. Like the women will sometimes even look different, like physically from I'll look back at videos and see the first time that we met and then look at them now and I'm like, oh my gosh, you even look like 10 years younger.
Oh my gosh, I just got goosebumps because it's so true. It's like I always call it unleashing your authentic you. It's the you that's always been in there. Maybe you've met her in the past. Sometimes you met her in your 20s, 30s before you were married, even the beginning of your marriage. Maybe you've never met that version of yourself, but she's unleashed. And it's not like she's power hungry or so in control or rude or anything. Like she communicates with the most loving intentions. Like you said, I call it aligned action, and it's just loving. Like she
Yeah.
sets boundaries with love. She communicates her needs with love. It's slow, it's calm, it's light, and it happens with flow and ease. You can work less almost at your marriage, almost in a way, but get more out of it because you're not hitting as much resistance over and over again because you can communicate your needs and you see your partner. You see your partner in their triggered bits, and you can love them and help them in that process too of healing themselves, even if they don't want to actively do this. Just by you healing yourself and you interacting different with them, they will all of a sudden open up and be like, this is a safe spot for me to be. I can share. I don't feel judged. I don't feel controlled. I don't feel nagged. And they open up, which is where the saving of the marriage often happens. Not always, but if it's
That's
going
when
to
it
happen,
happens.
that's when it
And I'm good.
happens.
I'm glad that you said that. It doesn't always end where, oh yes, everything is peaches and cream and everything's wonderful. But you at least get to a point, because the worst thing that you want is for infidelity to happen. There's chaos, there's disorder, there's a roller coaster, and you all part in anger and strife and vengeance. And now then you have those moments of, did I really do all that I could have done? Did I really, did I act out of anger? You don't want to do it that way. When you make your decision, you want to be confident that you're doing the best that you can for yourself and your family at this moment. That's the place you want to be. And that's what
Mhm.
normally happens when women work with me. They get to a point where it's like, you know what? I'm 100% positive that this is what I need to be doing. That's where you need to be.
Mhm. Yeah, they're not stuck anymore. They're not confused. It's like clarity. They're like, I know where I need to go. I'm ready. I can see it. Oh, it's so wonderful. Anything else you want to add? Is there anything else we've missed in this, like restoring your marriage, even
Hmm.
when your husband's in
I
the
also
backseat?
love that you mentioned the way that we speak. Now, sometimes women feel that, or they're told that they have to become these docile female, just completely, no voice. You have to whisper and be so small whenever you speak to your husband. Anyone that knows me, first of all, I'm bold, I'm loud, I'm from New York. I, Look, I'm just loud sometimes, okay? But there's a way to do that. And I also teach women how to use their voice powerfully, but in a way so that their husband can hear. Even the tone. Men hear better when you speak at a lower tone than when you speak at a higher tone. Like there's science, there's science behind it. So I even when I'm coaching wives, it's like, okay, how would you say it? And they would tell me how they would say it. I'm like, well, here, let's tweak this and say it this way and use this tone when you say it. So you don't want to be offensive and disrespectful, but you want to be assertive and confident when you speak.
That's a really powerful tip. The tone that you use, the pauses you use. I
Mm.
call it the power of the pause. I know sometimes with my husband, oh, and another one, sorry, with my husband, I'm not the best communicator at times. I had a lot of learning to do in our relationship. I find it hard to find my words sometimes. I can't get them out. So even to like close my eyes, stand back to back with him so I can just be in my head, I can see my words and I can slow things down. We're taught to communicate face to face, which is ideal. But if you don't have the skills, feel free to play around with it. Try new things. Talk with your eyes closed. Grab the phone and talk to him on the phone in another room. Like it doesn't have to be done one way as long as you can lovingly get it out. How you can get it out in like confident way. It needs to come out. It doesn't
I
matter what
love,
it
love,
really
love
looks
that you
like.
said that because we're taught that it has to be a certain way. There's times when I'm so frustrated with my husband, I will text him and he will, and he's better. I've learned about him. He's better at communicating via text. He's better at writing. So we can be in the middle of a debate and he's just sitting there like, he's grasping for words. And I'm like, okay, let me pause. Okay, let's do this a different way. So finding what works for you and your husband, what works for my best friend might not work for my husband and I. Everyone needs to, let's break that whole masterpiece of what a marriage should look like and how it should operate. And we have to be intentional about creating what works best for the wife and the husband and then mesh that together. You're together for a reason. If it was supposed to be a certain way with someone else, you would have been with that person. So stop looking at what everyone else is doing and find what works best for you and then rock it. Just keep on doing it.
Oh my gosh, let's leave it on that. Like, find it, design it the way it works for you, and rock it. What a great way to live life and create a marriage of your dreams. Arretres, it's been so great having you. How can everyone find you if
Well,
they
they can
want
find
to
me
learn more
at
about you?
Connecting Love and Marriage. That is my handle on all social media, even my website, www.connectingloveandmarriage.com.
Amazing. And I'm Beth at Soulify Wellness. You can find me at Soulify Wellness, all one word. I know I have a great little guide called 3 Ways to Save a Marriage. You can grab it off my bio. How about you? Do you have
Yes, I have a
anything that you want to give
comprehensive
anyone?
guide for wives to restore their marriage after infidelity. So if you have experienced this heartache, you want to grab the guide and also get on my newsletter, honey. I'm sharing things every day, so you get all the tips.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I get your tips too. I love she's great tips. So hop on onto the newsletter, grab some guides from us. We're here for you. Message us anytime. Reach us. This has been amazing. We have to do this again. I
Definitely,
just love
honey.
chatting with you. All
Bye.
right. Bye, everyone.